everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to the Lego The Lord of the Rings. No, I'm not adding a third "the" to it. It's Lego The Lord of the Rings. I should drop the first "the." Anyways, let's continue the story. It's now called Lego Lord of the Rings. Whatever they call it. That's what I'm calling it. Look at that plastic hair.
He's fading.
Her? She's an elf.
I've been looking for you for 2 days.
Where are you taking him?
We must get him to my fatherland. Frodo fear. I offered only here. Tor Gwaithnin Beriathon. I do not fear them.
Mayestlin.
So, some of this audio feels very much like they just took exact copies from the movies, and there's different echoiness, would I guess be the right term to say. Hey, this may be the actual first instance in a Lego game where you've actually been able to ride a horse, or potentially the first time you've ever been able to ride a horse and swing a sword at the same time. I can't recall a time in a Lego game where you've been able to ride a horse. Not a Lego game of this style. There were a few that happened that weren't in this adventure style. They were more open world. So apparently the ring base can cross water unless an elf casts spells to make things get flushed out. One of them has a surfboard. That was weird. That was like just a cutscene for the open world area. We're still in the open world area. We can tell because we don't have the collectible bar, and we're not getting attacked non-stop, and we're not looking at from the side like we would be. So this is a 3D world, so I know this is the open world section.
Where am I?
You are in the house of Elrond.
Gandalf.
Yes, I'm here.
What happened, Gandalf?
I was delayed.
He was delayed. What happened to him? Last we saw, he was fighting inside that tower, and now everything around the tower is
There is only one Lord of the Rings,
getting controlled by the ogres.
and he does not share power.
So was that a griffin? A hawk? What kind of bird was that supposed to be?
Frodo! Sam! Bless you, you're awake!
Sam must hardly left your side. By the skills of Lord Elrond, you're beginning to mend.
He's got a picture of how to
Welcome to
build a
Rivendell.
fake.
Frodo Baggins.
So, one question I have lots of questions about this game, as far as it relates to the book and the movie series. It seems like the dialogue is completely lifted from the movies, and I can only assign that as poor planning on WB's part, because they should have long before the movies were finished airing in theaters, they should have known that they wanted to make a video game tie-in and had the voice actors re-record the lines without all the echo effects and stuff, record them in a nice quiet recording studio, and thus it would be much easier and better blended into this environment. But I'm wondering if the movie is word for word true to the book, or if they added a lot of dialogue in the movie. I assume they would add a lot of dialogue. Very few movies are just word for word. The one exception you'll get for that is when you're making a movie version of like a Shakespeare play. Oh, there's a fire over here. I would need a bucket of water to put that out. Which way am I supposed to be going? I don't want to run around too much in the open world section, which I'm still in, even though I've seen like 3 cutscenes already. We'll come back to all these sections. I get the feeling that this game is going to be kind of shorter than, say, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, which was 2 games combined. Lego games, in their own right, when they aren't covering something as large as Episode 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars, tend to be closer to a 20, 30 hour game than a 40, 50, or 60 hour game. And this one is feeling almost like it could be a 19 or 20 hour game, but I can't really tell because I have no idea really how far in the story this really is. For all I know, they go on some side missions before they take on Sauron multiple times, and I've just barely scratched the surface.
Strangers from distant lands, friends of old, you've been summoned here to answer the threat of Mordor.
What are we waiting for?
It is a gift. A gift to the foes of Mordor. Why not use this ring?
You cannot wield it. None of us can. The One Ring answers to Sauron alone.
And what would a ranger know of this matter?
This is no mere ranger. He is Aragorn, son of Arathorn. You owe him your allegiance.
Gondor needs no king.
The ring is altogether evil.
It must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came.
I will help you bear this burden, Frodo Baggins.
Why didn't he help his father bear the burden?
You have my sword. And you have my bow.
And my
I guess he just didn't know until the last second that he had the ring at all.
If this is indeed the will of the Council, then Gondor will see it done.
Mr. Frodo's not going anywhere without me.
We're coming too!
9 companions. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
So we've made it to the second movie? Is that the rate?
Here's a pretty thing.
How long has it been
As
for
light as a
Bilbo
feather
since he
and
moved
as
here?
hard as dragon scales. My old sword, Sting. The blade glows blue when orcs are close. And it's times like that, my lad, when you have to be extra careful.
Sting is a silly name for a sword.
The ring bearer is setting out on the quest of Mount Doom.
The Fellowship awaits the ring bearer.
Was he just combing the beard of the dwarf?
Mordor, Gandalf. Is it left or right?
Left.
So we're still not really, we haven't done a level yet. We're just kind of preparing. At this rate, it wouldn't surprise me if there aren't but 9 actual levels in the entire game. If that's true, then this game kind of needs the extra challenge mode in which you run through the levels and collect 10 specially made collectibles. Because typically, what happens, I guess I can't swim, is, well, can I just work my way around here, or am I totally going the wrong way? I think I'm totally going the wrong way. Maybe Legolas here can swim. Oh, I was supposed to target the boulder with my fire arrow. This is probably a slightly unfair statement, but I get the feeling that the Lord of the Rings story, and I'm only getting it from playing a kid's game, because that's my main understanding here. But it feels like it was written in very simplistic English. You wouldn't name your sword Sting. You would name it something like Hathor, which would be Elvish for Sting. And you wouldn't even reveal that except for in a small piece of dialogue chapters and chapters later. You wouldn't just come out and straight call it Sting. I think we're going to Mount Doom. It's pretty simplistic fantasy stuff. But just ignoring the naming of things, if you think about, you have this Middle-earth fantasy world that has elves and dwarves and hobbits and all these other things. And there's just tons of more fantasy things that never get mentioned and never get touched upon. It's just all 100% focused on a ring and a bad guy, the same bad guy for the entire story of Sauron, and a journey of taking a ring from point A to point B, which is not a story you usually see. Usually there's more to it than just taking something somewhere because it needs to be destroyed. It's a rather strange story. He has no motivation, Bilbo Baggins really has no motivation at all to do it. Why not just throw the ring away or give it to the ring race?
We must take the pass on Caradhras.
This game feels unfinished at this rate.
Boromir! Give the ring to Frodo.
So we can say the humans seem to be tempted by it even faster.
I fear not.
Yeah, at this rate, it feels... Press B to lift small characters, okay. Feels like the game is unfinished for all the cutscenes we're seeing here without any actual level in between. That was like number 4 or number 5. So I need to pick up this guy. Bring him over through the snow. Interesting mechanic. It's not very Lego-y to walk through snow, but so Aragorn, Gimli, break these rocks with the axe. And I assume he can crawl through here. He's small enough. Press A and X to slam down. And that clears the path for everybody else. Took 13 minutes to get to this point, by the way. Tall characters can throw Gimli towards cracked Lego things around the wall. Interesting. The controls feel a little odd here, and the story feels a little odd here. Feels like they had opportunities they did not take to have some levels in between scenes not mentioned in the movie or the books. That's what you have to do when you make games like this. So I have no reason really to be carrying him. I need to be carrying him. There's a story that could have been told about Aragorn. There's a story that could have been told about Gimli. I don't know if those stories get told in the books or not. But at this point, in just playing the story or nothing else, I don't feel like I have any reason to like or understand or even care about the Fellowship of the Ring. We've done 3 levels with the Hobbits, and that's it. We haven't had enough story there. This game feels like it would have done better for them to re-voice all the characters one way or the other, either by paying the same actors some work to go into a sound booth and record new dialogue, a lot more dialogue, so there's characterization and story going on, or just having new voice actors. Either way you have to do it. It just seems like this is the abridged story that we're experiencing. And it makes very little sense to me, because I didn't see the long form of the story. Let's face it, I believe, if I was to guess, reading the books is even longer than watching the 3 movies, which were kind of historically long. 9 hours. It's possible I will spend less than 9 hours playing this game. It's kind of unlikely, but possible. Right. Switch to Legolas. Hold X when nobody's around. Hit these. Can I lock on the 2? Not accurately. One has to assume with Lego games that there are 2 teams that make Lego games. And what you would call the A team, the best of the programmers, and the B team that does slightly worse work, but not drastically worse. Because a lot of Lego games have this instance where the game before it will have elements that the game, that the current game doesn't have, which makes little sense, and the game before it will be very good. We saw a great example of this in Lego Batman 1, which was practically awful, and then Lego Batman 2 was very good, and then Lego Batman 3 kind of bucked that trend, if I'm going to be honest, because it was really good. So I have to go to Sam to start a fire. Now he's making the sound of rubbing two sticks together, but then his item is a matchbook, so I have no idea what he actually is doing to start a fire. I'm gonna hit this tent and see if I can get anything out of it. It doesn't seem like I can. We've kind of yet to see any Lego things of real interest. We're seeing Lego things in the world, yes, but I've yet to hold down B but a couple of times. I haven't really built any kind of crazy or zany. Wait, Legolas can shoot arrows. To make new fruits. I see. This, and this. One. Two. You can't even, like, shoot multiple shots at once. That's certainly something you should have been able to do. Lego The Lord of the Rings is one of the middle Lego games in the series. So it probably only came out in 2007, 2008, I guess. Not the very first, by far. Yeah, you can tell by its graphics and its video engine. It doesn't have the enhanced graphics option. It was always confusing, so it's got to be a somewhat modern game because they got rid of that. Now, I know that sounds weird to say a game is newer because it doesn't have an enhanced graphics option, but it actually is in this case because they would say enhanced graphics and then never explain what that really meant. And kind of what it meant is the resolution of the graphics were turned down in certain scenes, so it looked smoother. I pick him up. So we know how to build cracked ice now. There was another cracked ice all on the right. So it might have been worth it to go back and take this guy with me to that section, but I think I'll just skip forward to the story. I'm trying to get as many of these collectibles as possible. Legolas cannot fit in that. Interesting. I'm gonna take control of Gimli here while we're at it. No, Gimli can't get over there. So that has to be done free play. Obviously. I haven't seen anything in any of the levels. How come Legolas can crawl on top of the ice, but Gimli fell down into it? These levels seem kind of short, kind of sparse. Just the number of things you can actually break can drastically change the feeling of a level.
There is a fell voice in the air.
Here's somebody singing. Yeah, he is rubbing sticks together.
Saruman! He's trying to bring down the mountain!
Maybe I'll get that collectible over here. haven't figured out how to break the silver things. So that'll be a free play mode. And I can't pick up Gimli with a small character, I do a big character. It's kind of silly throwing a dwarf around. And getting silly sounding opera singing going on. Sam can dig in soul patches. So I like the concept of Bilbo Baggins not being the superhero of the story and needing his friend Sam for help and all. But that's just not what should happen in the story. It doesn't happen in the other story. And it's not like it's a refreshing change of pace. It feels just like a group thing. So, I don't know. I don't know how to say this correctly. He feels underpowered in comparison. I guess would be the best way to say it. Bilbo Baggins feels like he's a completely underpowered character who, just by the comparison that everybody else in every other story is a super overpowered character. Even your everyday man with no special abilities or powers always turns out to be the smartest person in the room and the cleverest in most action stories. I don't see anything, or feel like there is anything from my complete lack of knowledge of the Lord of the Rings books. It just doesn't feel like they're gonna tell a rich, detailed story in which Frodo's flaws and insecurities make any sense for being said, and I don't think they talk about it. Whereas in comparison to a fantasy, I think the Harry Potter books probably do go into more of Harry Potter being this, being unsure of himself at the beginning, but by the end he becomes this all-powerful super wizard, and of course that kind of doesn't happen in this story, does it? Well, Frodo Baggins might have learned a few things maybe addressed. It's not like he's a super powerful warrior or he's gained any special powers or any real special knowledge besides the knowledge of friendship. And I don't even think the friendship lasts. If I'm spoiler alert here, but if I'm recalling correctly, I don't even think his friend Sam stays with him throughout the whole story. Right, so that's 3 pieces of wood. Put these in here. And so, if I was writing a video game from scratch, I would give Frodo the ability to personifiy. He would have almost every ability of every character. He would be the main person you'd play as, and you would never really switch. There are some stuff that comes about because of LEGO games, just overall mandate. You've got to be able to press Y and switch between different mini-games, so you can play as so they encourage you to play as a multitude of characters. got to hold down with the B button and build a few things, even though this game in particular is not super focused on it. I'm just gonna pick him up, carry him with me. I think I'm gonna go to a cutscene. This will be the end of the level.
We must get up the mountain! Make for the Gap of Rohan! Gap of Rohan takes us too close to Isengard!
Let us go through the mines of Moria. Let the ring bearer decide.
Here'd be an opportunity to split the path.
We will go through the mines.
So be it.
So, like, as a video game,
Dwarf are invisible.
they could have gone either way.
Yes, Gimli, their
But
own
as a
masters
story, they
cannot
can't
find
do
them
that.
if their secrets are forgotten.
Well, you could.
Why doesn't
You
that
could certainly
surprise me?
do a fan fiction version of The Lord of the Rings where things just occur completely different. And we're back to the open world section. Nope. We're still in a level. It just feels like an open world section because it's 3D. It's been 30 minutes of recording, but 15 of that was simply getting through cutscenes. What I would have done, as a sucker for a twist, as somebody who always wants twists, is I would have liked to see Frodo take on the ring and do something with it. Become powerful, maybe turn him into the bad guy. That could have been a great midpoint for the journey. Which I suppose if you're reading the book for the first time, you would be somewhat afraid of something like that happening, but not really. I don't think at any point in the stories, again, just baseless speculation here, I don't think the story ever really suggests that there's a chance that sweet little Frodo is going to turn out to be evil. Oops. Well, I messed that up, so now I have to run back this way. More collectibles there. Or what you could do as Soren was dying, you could introduce more rings or another item. There are several weapons that probably get mentioned in the story, and so it could certainly be the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, and I believe the third book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy is called the Fellowship of the King, so it's not even mentioning the ring at all. Is that something you can pick up? Is that something I can pick up? Here's one I can pick up. Darn it. So that. This plant. Now, as suppose I need the special sword.
Do not disturb the water.
What does that mean? Do not stand in water. Do a little acrobatics here. Frodo can use this glowing file to light up dark areas. Okay, that's cool. I love the acrobatics here when they work perfectly. If they give me trouble and I fall down, I start to not love them so much. So we've got this, this, and this, and then go back to Sam. Starts a fire on these gray leaves. What a terrible choice to make those leaves gray. I'm sure for some people that's just unviewable. You can't even tell the difference. Ooh, like an elvish portal?
It reads, the doors of Durin, Lord of Moria. Speak, friend, and enter.
It's a riddle. What's the elvish word for friend?
Melon. Oh.
What a simplistic riddle. Checkpoint. I guess what we're trying to do is hit these red pieces. Seems like those three are distracted over there. Seems like these three are distracted over here. So all I think I need to do is wait till this guy decides to attack. This feels like a magical rope that's there that you can't grab, and it feels like something free play mode. Again, like the prologue battle, it's just kind of a long time waiting. Barely made that. Probably stand further back here. It's a really strange angle. It's really small area. What is this creature? There's another question. It's a giant squid with a gorilla face. So now I'm in control of Frodo, and I think I'm supposed to go into Legolas and shoot. back to him, but hit him. So wow, 40 minutes because of just tons of little cutscenes where levels should have been, and it definitely feels like there should have been some levels. Now, what sometimes happens in LEGO games is they'll have terrible vehicle levels in between. Maybe that's what's missing here, is that they just finally gave up the ghost on having terrible vehicle levels, which I think LEGO in particular kind of wants those, because they do make a decent amount of sales for kids that make cars and such. Get a blacksmith design, that's what those things are, I remember now. But also sometimes they'll make like half a game and then plan on making a sequel that has the other half of the game. Usually not in a fashion where they try to squeeze levels in between other levels, but yeah, all those cutscenes, it feels like there should have been something more to be done. If they were making regular games, there should have been either conversations or a puzzle or something different there. But for LEGO games, you kind of have to stick very consistent with the same gameplay style. But they really didn't do that. Anywho, that was 40 minutes. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps me out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.